Delhi Police's OMG moment. SHO offers his own chair to self-styled godwoman Radhe Ma. Red-faced force acts swiftly, shunts out officer and 5 other cops. Shocking lapses in security led to the murder of 7-year-old Pradyum Thakur in a Gurugram school. CBSE files its affidavit in the Supreme Court, reiterates the negligence of Bryan school authorities. Massive turnout in Raj Thackeray-led MNS Mega Dhadak Mahamorcha. Thousands of MNS workers marched on the streets of Mumbai. MNS chief threatens violence if demands of better railway infrastructure not met. First, she was forced to bite off her rapist's ear to save herself. Then Uttar Pradesh cops humiliate her, accusing her of making false accusations. Police refuse Aligarh rape survivor an FIR. 2 teenage sisters gang raped by 3 men in a Jharkhand school. Entire incident was also filmed. Police have identified the 3 youths, but no arrests yet. Man batters his wife to death in Gaya in Bihar. Her fault? She gave birth to a baby girl. Brutal murder reported by the woman's elder daughter. The infant was the couple's 5th child. Dr. Virendra Tavre, key accused in the Narendra Dabholkar murder case, denied bail by Pune Sessions Court. Under the scanner for the murder of 2 activists, the CBI counsel opposed Tavre's bail plea on grounds that he could tamper with crucial evidence. Miranow's campaign, Make Our Locals Safe, continues. Today, we get you ground reports from 3 different stations on the Central Line that need urgent attention. Even before winter sets in, Delhi's air quality dips to poor. Ground check reveals the capital is not prepared again this year to combat air pollution. You're watching The Big Story with me, Avni Raja. After 3 months of respite, Delhi had started registering poor air days again. According to central government agency, air quality began degrading from September 27th, and the situation is expected to worsen further, which means that people will have breathing discomfort on prolonged exposure to such air. Now, the question is, what is causing this crisis? Experts claim ground-level activities are the biggest contributors. From road construction dust to vehicular emissions, even the burning of crops in the neighbouring states of Punjab and Haryana. In addition, the ban on firecrackers has been lifted this Diwali, and the air quality is expected to worsen significantly. So the question is, what can be done to counter the situation, and also that despite an action plan, there seems to be little progress on ground. That's the story that we're going to be delving into on Big Story.
See, the road dust, definitely, it requires 2 kinds of solution. Road dust cannot be removed unless until proper disposal of the dust mechanism happens. Right now, the sweeping mechanism that happens, manual sweeping, they generally lift the dust and put in the shoulders of the road or nearby areas. And it is very fine particulate. It gets deposited again with the vehicular traffic. So this whole chain of disposal needs to be fixed. Now government is deploying the mechanized sweepers. So mechanized sweeping definitely will help because it is very fine dust. But the mechanized sweeping cannot happen if the roads are occupied by the parked cars. So simultaneously government has to work on 2 fronts. First, they have to remove the on-street parking. So those illegal parking and encroachment has to go. Then the footpaths or the curb stones needs to be put properly so that the dust which is coming from the footpath should not fall on the road. So all requires, once you fix all these notes, then you can lift the dust and put in a proper disposal. So I think it needs to be seen in a proper holistic manner, and it is doable, nothing rocket science. And I think Delhi can do it. But definitely it requires a proper thought and chart out zonal plans. And government is at it, so I think they need to look into all the aspects of how best it can be done.
All right, let's go across to Milan, who's joining me at this point. Milan, you've been tracking this. Help us understand how bad the situation really is on ground at this point, because like we were saying, there was some improvement in the air quality from January onwards, but since September 27th, we've seen a significant worsening of the air quality.
That's right, Avni. It's been a continuous process, and since we should point out that the EPCA had put in a graded response action plan after the severe condition of pollution in Delhi NCR in the last 2 years, and many such measures were taken forward. But what is to be seen right now is one of the prime contributors to pollution in the Delhi NCR is road dust, as experts have said, and also construction dust coupled with the higher vehicular emissions. Now we know that a large chunk of commercial vehicles cross through Delhi NCR, and there is no way for them to connect through many states from here. But the government's ambitious project of a Western Expressway and an Eastern Peripheral Expressway is something that has been an ongoing project for really long now. This started in 2005 when the Supreme Court had taken cognizance of the problems that Delhi might face, and since then the construction has not led forward. Today we are seeing that the Road Transport Ministry had said that one of these Eastern Peripheral Expressway that the National Highways Authority of India is building will be done by 15th of August. But Mirror now did a ground check, and the construction is still halfway completed, and it's still nowhere completion. And why are we talking about the Western and Eastern Expressway? It is a very crucial measure to reduce vehicular emissions, because all the commercial vehicles that today cross from Delhi will be able to cross through a ring road and go from external areas of Delhi rather than polluting the city. And even the microbial conditions are such in the weather that during winter, this PM 2.5 and PM 10 particulate matter, as we call it, which includes the dust and vehicular emissions, tends to settle in the atmosphere. And definitely today we have seen that the air quality index is swinging somewhere between 150 to 163 for the next 3 days, as per the government's own air quality monitoring agency. And surely we are going to see a further deterioration in the air quality, as a lot of these measures that were supposed to be done on the ground by now have not taken shape. Back to you.
Right. Milan, you spoke about the action plan that is in place that you're also saying is not yet taken off. Take us through what exactly are those plans that are in place and are yet to take off, but what are they?
Exactly, Avni. So there are various measures that the government zeroed down on, and this requires the help of all authorities together, which is the Delhi Traffic Police, the municipal corporations, and the government as such. And many of these measures include sprinkling, of water on roads, as mentioned by a CSE expert, mechanized sweeping of roads. And right now, the way it is happening is something that is half done, because once, the road dust and construction dust is swept away from the roads, it still is left on the curbs of the road. So this is one measure. Then secondly, removing of commercial vehicles from Delhi is one of the prime concerns, because as I said that vehicular emissions contribute to the largest amount of pollution in the national capital, and the building of the Western and the Eastern Expressway is crucial in this front, because then all these commercial vehicles would be diverted out of the city, and the city would not have to face either traffic congestion or problems. Looking at ground efforts as well, the Delhi Traffic Police has now also started clearing out a lot of traffic and congestion from the area, and some of these prime areas that are constantly congested are being a lot of traffic officials are being employed over there, so that they can decongest these areas. Apart from this, other air quality monitoring systems are being put up all across Delhi, so that they can gather data from the ground. But several of these measures like mechanized sweeping is not being done up to the mark. Also, to look at how the air quality is deteriorating, if vehicular emissions are not taken out of the city, then it is detrimental. Secondly, also, when Delhi faced a lot of crisis, the odd even was a very big measure that was taken to front by the Kejriwal government at that point. But however, studies have shown that it is not just the private cars that are responsible for the vehicular emissions, and which is why commercial vehicles need to be focused on. When construction is done, certain measures to reduce the road dust flying away in fly ash is to be done. Also, when we talk about pollution here, it is crucial to understand that use of transport for people, public transport is very crucial, so that people take the public transport and opt for it instead of taking out cars constantly.
Absolutely, Milan. Those are some extremely crucial and important points that need to be delved into. But also joining me on the phone line is Ashutosh Dikshit from Urja Residents Association. Thank you very much, Mr. Dikshit, for joining in. Wanted your comments as to what has been the impact really, what are you seeing on ground as far as the air quality is concerned? This is winter is not even set in, and we're already seeing the air quality touching poor levels in Delhi.
Well, clearly very little impact. I mean, the impact is in terms of people understanding air pollution more than they did earlier. They now seem to know its trouble that it causes. They may be more aware, but in terms of being able to do something about it, very little, because this is something that requires, the problem is so vast that it requires a very serious intervention at the level of the central and the state government. This is not something that can be done through just awareness programs or some NGO initiatives. So while people can, try and put some pressure on the government, eventually it will have to be the central and the state government that will have to take, and I would say so, very drastic measures, even unpleasant measures, which, politically governments find it difficult to do. But there is no pleasant way of fixing this problem. And unfortunately, governments have not taken the necessary tough steps that are required
to control this. That's right.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Dikshit, do stay with us. I'm also being joined by Dr. Sanjeev Bagai. Dr. Bagai, thank you for joining us on Mirror Now. My question to you is with respect to this kind of poor air quality in Delhi that we've been seeing for a long time, and again, it's sort of deteriorated even further. What are the kind of, what is the kind of health implications that this has on people, especially on young children?
Right. I think if you look at it in a rational manner, there is an acute, there is a midterm, and there is a long-term impact, not only on children but even adults, and especially the most vulnerable are the children and the geriatric age group.
Right.
The most common ailments which we have seen a sudden burst and increase already, and it's still early in the year for getting these symptoms, is exacerbation of asthma, bronchitis, sore throats, sore eyes, ear infections. So that's as far as the respiratory thing is concerned. But what we very often don't actually look at is the long-term, midterm and long-term implications of air pollution. And that's really on the non-communicable diseases. So there will be an obvious rise in incidence of hypertension, on mental health. There is a decrease in attentiveness. There is a higher risk of mood swings, anxiety. These are all things which happen. And I think, like the previous speaker was saying, we need very strict and very deft actions to be taken. You may not see the results of this action this year, but at least if we start walking the path this year, at least we'll see something in the coming few years.
Right. Dr. Bagai, do stay with us. I'm going to go back to Mr. Dikshit. Mr. Dikshit, you said that, like Dr. Bagai was saying, there needs to be a concrete plan in place, strong moves from both the centre and the state. But do you believe that steps that have been taken, like perhaps the odd and even measure that was taken, actually has some effect and works to some extent?
Well, any amount of reduction of vehicle on the road will have some effect. So the battle, really, the politics was about whether the effect was significant enough or not, and whether it was worth doing that. But I would believe that if the number of vehicles are reduced, and if indeed pollution which is a result of some degree of vehicular pollution, then the reduction of vehicles on the road would definitely reduce air pollution. It will also reduce traffic jams, which allow for more emissions on, say, traffic signals and all that. So, but the point I'm making here is that these are all steps that are not enough.
Right.
They need a far more, we convert everything into a tamasha. Everything becomes a tamasha and then it becomes politics, and that's not going to help.
Right.
So it's not just one odd thing that you can do separately. A series of measures have to be done in tandem at the same time. So if paddy burning, for example, is happening in Punjab, I think the Delhi government, the central government, Punjab government, and even Haryana government need to get together and figure out an economic plan to purchase that kind of straw, that stubble that lies there in the straw, to be able to convert it and use it for some kind of power generation or something. But either you have the power to enforce the law, which the government clearly does not have, then it must look at economic solutions, at least for paddy. In terms of Delhi, there is a complete lack of enforcement of law at any level. There is an absence of administration. There is a lot of talk. There is a lot of Twitter. There is all sorts of things that meeting was held to do this, meeting was held to do that. Today held a review meeting. But really, in terms of the amount of work on the ground is not substantive. It is not enough to make a critical difference. Surely some work is being done, but given the scale of the problem, a tinker here and a tinkering there is not going to help. We require it's actually something that requires to be done at a war footing by the government, and with very serious intent and with very clear-cut targets in place.
Right.
So despite the fact that the GRAP and the Graded Response Plan has been notified by the Environment Ministry, and it's there, but to put it in place to control construction dust, we have vehicular traffic and trucks coming in because the expressways on the eastern and western peripheral areas have not been really activated, not ready. So there is a host of problems, and the scale of this problem is very large, and it requires a very serious and very tough intervention from the governments. And on the side of the people, I would say, and what we keep doing at our level in Urja with almost 2,500 welfare associations is we're holding meetings everywhere and asking the people to ask the government to get tough and to make them aware that if they resist government toughness, then it's only they who are suffering. So at some point, what the message that needs to go to the public is not just awareness of air pollution, but awareness of the fact that they should be open to the government getting really tough.
Absolutely.
Without that, it's not going to happen. If the public resists toughness, then they're only harming themselves.
Right. Dr. Bagai, coming back to you, of course, like Ashutosh was also saying that we do need long-term solutions to this. But at this point, there are a lot of people who are suffering because of the poor air quality, because of the pollution. Like you said, that there have been a lot of cases that are increasing in like bronchitis, asthma, etc. What can people do at this point, as of course it's a band-aid solution, stopgap solution? What can people do to sort of protect themselves from long-term effects of this kind of air quality until there is a long-term solution?
I think, it's a collective effort, but the medical impact and the healthcare impact, not only the financial impact of this, is devastating. And to see small kids, especially young infants, on nebulizations and things, this is completely, according to me, avoidable. And this is something which is preventable. And I mean, whether it be crop burning, whether it be industrial pollution, whether it be vehicular pollution, you see the state of Delhi, there are bridges and roadways which should have been completed years. People are still working on it. Roads are up, it's not ever relayed. This is all adding to the pollution and the particulate pollution. I think we need all the agencies to be much more sensitive that the common person who's living in Delhi is suffering.
Right. But Dr. Bagai, there's nothing that parents can do at this point to protect their babies, their little ones, or the elderly in their family, especially, as you said, they're more prone and more vulnerable to the harmful effects.
Yeah, the smaller kids go to school early morning in winter months. They are exposed to the acute, depth humidity, the fluctuations in temperature, the cold weather, the smog. That's the fog and the smoke which engulfs the city early mornings. The elderly are, of course, vulnerable, especially the patients who are prone to diabetes and hypertension. Cardiac ailments go up in winter times during pollution peaks. And I think we really need to take really strict and implementable measures. And I think you need to hold people responsible, and the citizens who don't follow the guidelines actually should be made accountable too.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Bagai and Ashutosh Dikshit, for joining us with your thoughts. Well, Delhi is in a precarious position, as both our panelist guests were saying, that it needs to be taken up on a war footing and not just band-aid solutions to really improve the air quality on from a long-term basis. On September 23rd, students of Banaras Hindu University demanding security on campus were lathi-charged. The UP government and campus administration offered the customary assurances, but nothing has changed on ground. In fact, another girl has been molested on the campus, and this time, while a team from the Women's Commission was present there. The MA second-year student was molested, dragged by her hair and manhandled on the campus by a student of the Public Administration Department. And ironically, all of this while the NCW team was on campus questioning officials over the security that is offered to students. But we understand the accused has now been arrested, but these instances are raising glaring questions on the safety of students at a premier institute like the BHU, and also the fact that this is exactly what the students were protesting in the first place, demanding better security for themselves, demanding CCTV cameras, better street lights in the campus. These are the main reasons why the students were, that is what the students were exactly demanding. Joining us on the phone line is Pankuri Pathak of the Samajwadi Party. Thank you very much, Ms. Pathak, for joining in. Your initial first response to the fact that we're seeing, amidst all of this, amidst all the investigations, all the different teams probing what's happened at the BHU, we're actually seeing another case of molestation happening on campus, and that too while the NCW was there to question officials.
What we need to understand is that there is a serious problem in BHU right now. There was a reason that these girl students were forced to protest. They did not protest because they were Naxalites as claimed by the government, or because they were motivated, or because they had something against the BJP government. They protested because they were facing these problems on a daily basis. They were being sexually harassed on a daily basis. Every day one or the other incident would come up. And the attitude of the administration was really, it was pathetic. Instead of listening to these girls, they were indulging in victim shaming. They were threatening these girl students. They were telling them to shut themselves up in the hostels. And that was the reason these girls had to protest in the first place. It was out of a desperate need for a change. But the first reaction of the government was to shut down these voices. And they resorted to a lathi charge. Then they shut down the university. Now the campus is again working. People are back in the colleges. And the same situation still persists. Nothing has been done.
Right. And Ms. Pathak, the other shocking angle to this whole thing is the fact that the Vice-Chancellor in this whole thing has been given a clean sheet, and the internal BHU probe that was looking into this entire matter has given him a clean sheet, saying that he will not be probed, when he has in fact outright lied about the fact that there was lathi charge, indulged in victim shaming, and not met the students when they actually wanted to meet him.
A lot of people have already pointed out that this VC's credentials are very, we cannot be very sure why this person was appointed, and he is a RSS nominee, and that is why this government is extremely, they are not able to take any steps against this person. They're not able to take any action, and he has lied constantly. He's been lying, and he has been trying to cover up this incident, and he has even been, he tried threatening these girl students. So when, after all this incident happened, he goes to their hostel and he tells them that don't do this because you are hurting the image of the university. So that was sort of a threat only, you can say. And then he lied about the lathi charge, and the commissioner has clearly said in his report to the chief secretary that the BHU administration is responsible for what happened there in Banaras on that particular day. So in spite of all that, and one of the major demands of these protesting students has been to sack this VC, because it is not one isolated incident. His entire attitude is against these girl students. He's a total misogynistic person. He has been continuously indulging in victim shaming, and he has been imposing all sort of restrictive and regressive rules on these girl students, telling them not to eat non-veg, not to wear jeans, to stay inside the campus, not to visit the library and whatnot. So that was one of the major demands, and it has still not been met.
Absolutely, Ms. Pathak, thank you very much for joining us. We'll leave it there. Clearly, a lot of questions still need to be answered. A lot of to and fro, a lot of flip-flops have been happening in this entire issue. And clearly, there's still a long way to go, because nothing has been resolved. Nothing has changed on ground. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of The Big Story. Thanks for watching.